Welcome back to BaldHeaded Metal, guys, and welcome back to all the Liliac fans. Today we're going to do the cover of The Trooper, the Iron Maiden song by Liliac. Now, do be prepared. I'm usually quite chill when it comes to covers, and I also want this to be a different kind of a cover. But I know I'm going to be a little bit more critical because I know myself, because how good Bruce Dickinson is as a vocalist. And we'll see the way Melody is going to be adapting that, because I don't think she quite has yet that level of skill that Bruce Dickinson had, but at the same time she has a different kind of a voice and that raspiness in her voice, and very nice approach to kind of tackling music that I think she's going to do something different here. And it's going to be a matter of if it's something I like or something I dislike, but I do want to do something different. Let's see how they implement with only one guitar versus 3 guitars and having the keyboard. Now this is going to be interesting. I know this is an older video, so perhaps it's going to be 2 guitars on this particular song. Let's see what we got. Yep, he's on a guitar here. So far sounds good. There's one element I right away noticed that's simplified from the original, but I'm gonna hold that thought to myself for just a little bit, because I'm gonna see if it's just the beginning and it's gonna progress, and we'll see how it kind of goes.
You take my love, but I'll take it still. You fire a musket, but I'll run it through.
Good job,
so
Melody.
when you're waiting for the next attack, you better stand or returning back. The bigger sound the talk begins. But on this battlefield, no one wins. Let's smell it back and smoking horses' breath. As a punch on into sunning down.
Now I think the guitars are quite good. Melody is really good on the bass. They're doing Steve Harris justice, but now just hear me out here. The drumming in comparison to I always forget the Iron Maiden's drummer. I should be punished for this, but the drummer in Iron Maiden is known to be one of the top drummers kind of in the metal scene, especially, you know, in the new wave of British heavy metal. And there was a lot more complexity to the drums. And for obvious reasons, I think they look obviously younger here. It's 3 years old, right? This music video. She's still playing on the bass Melody. So their skill is still growing there. So she had to simplify, Abigail had to simplify the song for herself and just hit the major beats to maintain the same rhythm of the song. But she doesn't have the same complexity. And that's a shame. The reason I'm not going to be overly critical is because they're young. And they're not, for example, where they are right now, which I think right now perhaps Abigail most likely can play that part, but in this part here it seems like it would be a struggle for her.
Watch your fury break to run. The mighty roar of the Russian guns. And as we reach towards the human wall, the scream of pain is my confidence fall.
But you know what it is? It's one thing about Abigail. I mean, it's true of all the band members in this group. But one thing about Abigail, what she lacks right now in this moment in skill, she makes up by her energy. And it's an absolutely infectious thing. It's one of the reasons why it's so easy for me to get past whatever she's not able to do and focus on what she's able to do. What Melody is doing with her voice, obviously it's not Bruce Dickinson's level of singing, but she's like, you know what? I'm going to use what I do have and I'm going to adjust. She uses the raspiness a little bit more, and I think it gives it a different texture. I think For example, I remember Iced Earth did this cover of this song, and I actually like this cover more than Iced Earth, and they're professional musicians, you know? The choices they make here, I think fit within what the spirit of the song was for Iron Maiden. Although I think it's due to the complexity of the drums and that being, I think, almost slowed down a little bit. Also, the song is a little bit slower than it is on the record, and the way they play Iron Maiden plays it live. That's another thing to take into account. I do like the speed of the Trooper. I've always liked how fast the song was, whereas here it's a little bit slower. But again, it's minor nitpicks. It comes from an ultra fan of Iron Maiden. It's not coming from a bad place, you know?
We are the bodies that lay on the ground, and the rust is by another round. We get so near yet so far away. We won't live to fight another day.
I want to rewind that a little bit before I forget. Good job, Ethan. He killed it. Ethan, right? Please correct me if I said his name wrong. Good job. I really like. He's quite skillful on the guitar, and you guys mentioned it to me many times in the comments, but this is the first time I really get to see it on that level. Good job. The only thing I would like to see is the keyboard be a little bit more prominent. I know, because they have one guitar less, so why not up it with the keyboards, you know, like implement them a little bit more. It's almost like I can't hear them at all on this particular song. I'd love for him to shine a little bit more, maybe because they didn't know what to implement and how to implement it, so they kind of, you know, toned it down a little bit so it sounds more like the original song. Sam, obviously, he's kind of in his element and jamming with those luscious hair that he has there. So far I like this cover. You can notice the skill difference though. Sam, like you can tell his prowess is higher, and that is the reason he's the lead guitarist, right? And perhaps maybe Ethan felt that a little bit, you know, and he would do a better job on the bass to kind of give it more oomph. I think they're creating a nice balance now. What's happening in the band? Despite that, I said I wanted a second guitarist. I think, yeah, it would be actually kind of cool to see their dad play on a rhythm guitar. That'd be kind of cool. You know, perhaps he plays it really well, but I think it'd be cool to see their dad kind of join the concerts. Let me know down below if he actually does. I love Melody's confidence when she sings, and that kind of piercing, intense look that she has. I think it adds a lot to a lot of her singing.
And as a litigation at the sky, my body's numb and my throat is dry. And as I live forgotten and alone, without a tear I draw my plotting road.
Good job. It's also their closest they've ever done to a cover, because they usually kind of improvise within. I feel like this Last in Line, they They've kind of done very, very close. I feel like Fear of the Dark would be a good cover for them to do. I think it matches their style, and I like the keyboard, his boss pose that he has here. It's really cool. I mean, it's a great cover. I mean, if you expect, I've said this many times, if you expect the same thing, you're just not gonna get it, because their setup is different. They're younger here. I think all these things need to be taken into account. It's not a black and white, whether it's just sounds just like Iron Maiden or it's a good cover or it's not. For example, one of my favorite covers ever is done by Kalma, and it was the cover of Thin Lizzy, Cold Sweat, which Thin Lizzy is awesome, and that particular song is so metal despite being, like, you know, classic rock. And the way that Kalma adopted it, they also have a keyboardist. He added an extra solo with the keyboards, which I thought was really interesting. And that's the reason why it became my favorite cover, along with the death metal vocals. I thought it was really cool. Yeah, this is... I enjoyed this cover. With all the negatives that I might have pointed out, I think the spirit, the energy, and the love is there, and that's the most important thing, above sometimes even technical prowess. Because you know how much I mentioned that I always pick emotions and feeling over technical prowess any day of the week, which is why I love AC/DC more than most bands ever, you know. But again, you know, it's just my opinion. Hopefully, guys, you enjoyed this reaction. If you did, make sure to comment down below and let me know what you thought. And enjoy the rest of your day. Keep it metal and have a good one, guys. Take care.